Second attempt to make this video today, and like my 10th attempt to make this video in general. The videos either come out too long or too short, or I take too long to get to the point, or I give away too much free lunch. But the major reason I wanted to make this video talking about why men prefer younger chicks, see, this is the thing, right? Everybody already knows this. Girls prefer older men, men prefer younger girls. Everybody already knows this, okay? And this used to be something that was talked about. This used to be a discussion that people had on the internet a couple of years ago. Why do men prefer younger chicks? Why do women prefer older men? Back when there was a monetary incentive to talk about this topic. Unfortunately, in 2025, if there's no monetary incentive to speak about a topic, people aren't going to speak about it anymore on YouTube. TikTok's a little bit different. TikTok kind of resembles like the old days of YouTube where people just get on there and make videos. And they do it for the fun. They talk about stuff they actually want to talk about. And probably because TikTok pays peanuts compared to YouTube. So there's no real monetary incentive to try to... Now, some people do use TikTok to get an audience for their other medias to make them money. But on YouTube, if you talk about... You got to play the game if you want to make money, and you got to play the game if you want to get views. I don't want to play the game, so I don't give a fuck about views or monetization. I'm making this video so that the people that do watch my channel can have a better understanding of what's going on. Specifically the females that watch the channel. They need... So my whole thing about my channel is you have to find the truth while you are still young. This is especially true for females. Modern society is teaching you guys that y'all can chase your grades, you can chase your college, you can chase your career, and then by the time you're 30 and you get all of that, there's going to be a man waiting for you. Unfortunately, no. But deep down inside, women already know this. Let me tell y'all how I know this. There is a reason why, okay? You have more videos than ever of women who are 30, 40 years old making videos saying stuff like, if you're 30 and you're going for an 18-year-old girl, a 21-year-old girl, you're a groomer, and you're morally blah, blah, blah. Check this out, man. Grooming is a legal term, okay? Now, I get it in 2025. We live in an era where nobody has a dictionary. Everybody just makes up their own meaning for words. But grooming is a legal term. Now, me personally, anybody under 25, I consider them a kid, personally, because even if you're a genius kid, unless you go to fuck outside, what do I always talk about on my channel? Unless you go to fuck outside and get practical application of your knowledge, you don't know anything. So people who haven't gone to the source, people who haven't gone outside and got real life experience with what they have learned, I consider them a kid. So when I talk about the legal ages, I'm not talking about me, because the legal age of consent in most states is 16, 18 for others, and the legal age to where you can drink and own a firearm is 21, right? Those are the legal definitions for an adult in the United States of America. And in Maryland, and in states like Maryland, you can run away from home legally at 16. You can drop out of school legally at 16. And you can be charged as an adult for some crimes legally at 16. Me personally, I think if you're under 25, you're still a kid. But going by the legal definitions of the word, you're essentially considered an adult anywhere between the ages of 16 through 21, depending on your state. That being said, you see many surges of videos of women who were in their 30s, in their 40s, saying stuff, you know, if you go for 18-year-olds, you're a groomer, because women are not stupid, guys. Women know that their greatest threat is a girl who's half their age with the same traits that would make them attractive. Now, I already know there's going to be females that see this video and they're just going to jump to the conclusion, man, men just like younger girls because they're easier to control. Men just like younger girls because they physically look better. Men just like younger girls because their bodies are lower, they're less experienced, and they're easier to groom. There's truth to all of that to an extent, and this is stuff that people have talked about back when people made videos talking about this subject. I want to go into a little bit more detail because there's other sides of the spectrum that I don't think get enough emphasis. Okay? Something that I always discuss on my channel is that in order for something to be true, it has to have a basis in nature. If you can't go outside and see natural examples of the point you're trying to make, then the point you're trying to make is probably inaccurate. Okay? There is a reason why, okay, girls naturally understand that they have to find the men that they want while they're young, while they're beautiful, and while they're fertile. Now, I want to specifically talk about the fertility part. 100 years ago, women used to get menopause around 45. Some got menopause when they were 50, right? 100 years ago, women had more time. In 2025, women have begun getting menopause even before they're 30 years old. There was a famous OnlyGirls chick. There was a famous OnlyFans girl, my bad, fuck. I think her name was like Aurora or something. Aurora, no, was it? I mean, I don't know. It was some, I can't even think of her name. Maybe somebody will correct me in the comments, but there was a famous OnlyFans chick. She had like billboards, you know, about her OnlyFans, which was crazy. But when she was 29 years old, this happened semi-recently, a couple of years ago, when she turned 39 and she was trying to have children. The doctors told her that 90% of her eggs were gone and that it probably wasn't going to happen. So she made videos crying, and she pretended like she didn't know this would happen. She pretended like she didn't know what was killing all of her eggs. And this is the thing that aged women will do. They will play plausible deniability. They'll act like they don't understand what's going on. And instead of going out and telling younger girls the truth as to how they can avoid the situation, they'll instead go on the internet and make videos. Yeah, if you go for girls that have their eggs, you're a groomer. Even in terms of the law is concerned, you're not doing anything illegal. It's not just the eggs, though, okay? I'm going to pause the video real quick because I want to get accurate statistics real fast. So yeah, I wanted to pull up the accurate math for this so I don't, misquote anything. But if you reproduce as a woman when you're 20, your child's chance of having Down syndrome is only about 0.1%. Okay, not too high. It's still higher than I thought. That's why I wanted to double check this, because 0.1% is still 0.1% means that out of every 1,000. Because let's see, 0.1, 1 times 10, so 10%, let's see, 1, 10, 100, yeah, so that means out of 0.1%, that means out of every 1,000, one child will have Down syndrome, right? Around that, give or take, which doesn't seem high in the grand scope of things, but it's still, a pretty high statistic in my opinion. If you reproduce when you're 20, This is specifically talking about females, by the way. If a female reproduces when they're 20, their child's chance of getting Down syndrome is only about 0.1%. If they attempt to reproduce after they're 30, that goes up to 3%. That's a 300% increase. That is a very big increase. And keep in mind, that's only for Down syndrome. That's not talking about autism. That's not talking about Asperger's. That's not talking about all these other mental impairments. You wonder why we have so many different diseases now? A major contributing factor is that women are waiting to reproduce now. Before, a woman reproduced while they were younger. And this is the main reason I emphasize that while this path is already in, I gotta go and do not disturb. Who the fuck? Oh my god, stop texting me. Lost my train of thought. This is the main reason I say that while this is already an impossible path for men at least have some time. Women don't. I mean, listen to what I just said. That's a 300% increase if you decide to wait as a woman to reproduce. Right? And that's assuming you can even reproduce after you're 30 in the first place, because most of your eggs are gone. But this is why men are naturally attracted to younger girls, because we naturally understand youth, beauty, fertility. It's very... Here's the thing, right? You will meet guys who say they are okay with not having children. They'll say that so they can fuck you. They'll say that so they can get in your pants. But they're not really okay with not having children. You'll meet men who say they're okay with their child coming out with something wrong with them, but they're not okay with their child coming out and having something wrong with them. Men don't want autistic children. To the people that have autism that see this video, hopefully y'all don't get too offended, but I'm just telling y'all the truth. So, now obviously, men don't know the mechanical details while they're younger. A 20-year-old man isn't going to know that if they reproduce with an older woman, this could happen. They're not going to know that. But we have a natural protection that incentivizes us to go for women who are still in their prime, okay? So, when chicks make these videos talking about men just want, younger, inexperienced, more fertile women, that's true, but it goes far beyond the surface level information that they're saying, okay? If you want a healthy family, because the thing is, it's not guaranteed. These are just numbers, these are just statistics. But how do you think your child is going to react if they find out that you intentionally increased their chances of reproducing the child that has something wrong with them? You think they're ever going to forgive you for that? Especially if they have something wrong with them? No. The second your child finds out the truth, you're screwed. So, and there's going to be people that hear what I just say and they're going to try to downplay and dismiss that as a minor reason as to why you would prefer younger chicks, but that is a major fucking reason. And this is why I say that women have a harder path than men, because women produce the healthiest babies between the ages of 16 through 25. Okay? You guys heard in the video earlier, I said I consider anybody under 25 to be a child. But a woman, in order for them to have a healthy baby, they essentially need to reproduce while they're a child. Now, this is why women naturally prefer older men, because they understand this. They understand that in order for them to have a healthy child, in order for them to be a good mother, they need the guidance of a guy who knows better. Women can't guide their families by themselves. I'm going to try to word this in a way that doesn't get my video taken down, but there's an entire community of people in America right now who are being raised by mothers. No fathers around. There's a whole community of people in America being raised by mothers. You guys know exactly what community I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I can't directly say it or YouTube will try to take my video down for racism, but statistical facts aren't racist. So, read between the lines. If y'all are not picking up what I'm saying, rewind this part a couple of times until you pick up what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck about monetization, but YouTube is going junkie mode. Now they just, because they know I don't care about monetization, they just take my videos down. So I'll say it one more time. There's an entire community of people being raised by mothers, and we see the results of that. I'm gonna just leave it at that, right? So women know that by themselves they cannot guide their family. This is why they have an innate desire to go for older men in the first place, okay? One chick she kind of creeped me out a little. I replied to her story on Instagram. She says something about killing a snake. No. She didn't kill the snake. There was a snake in her house, and her dad, like, cornered it and like, scooted it away. But her status was, there's a snake in my house. So I replied to the status, did you kill it? And she was like, oh no, we didn't do anything like that. We just cornered it and it left. I'm like, you're better than me. I would have killed that motherfucker. But I mean, maybe not, because I had a situation. We caught the snake in a little soda bottle, and I drove it up to where the river was, and I just let it go. So maybe I wouldn't have killed it either. I don't know. But yeah, we started talking after that, and my Instagram picture, I guess you can't see my face as well. So she asked if I had any more pictures of me, because I told her my age. I told her I'm 30. And she didn't believe me. Nobody does, right? But then I sent her another picture. She's like, "Oh my God, you have a man's face. Yeah, you may actually be 30." And I'm just like, thanks. Kind of creeped me out a little. Only because it kind of surprised me how direct she was with what she said. Okay. The chick was a teenager, but she was like, but this is how she said it, though. She said it out loud. "Oh my God, you have a man's face," right? Making it pretty clear that that's what she was looking for. And this is just how it is, man. If you meet a woman who can guide her family on her own, you found a special unicorn. This is not the norm, and again, we have an entire community that makes up a decent percentage of the American population. We can observe what happens when you let women try to lead their families. It doesn't work. So, women know they need the guidance, and men know that. Men, we kind of know that it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, you could go for an older woman who... But see, this is another thing too, right? This is a major difference between men and women that doesn't get talked about. Men, because we live different lives than women, we have to go through trauma. We have to make mistakes. We have to grow from those mistakes. We have to go through trauma, and this makes us stronger over time. For some reason, trauma doesn't make women stronger, it destroys them. You meet a woman when she's 15. I mean, even that age nowadays, man. Nowadays, a lot of 15-year-old girls have gone through trauma. But for the sake of this not being a 2-hour-long video, we're just going to use 15 as the age for my example. Okay, even though I already know it's wrong, Because again, most 15-year-olds nowadays have trauma. But just for the sake of the video, let's just say 15. You meet a girl when she's 15, she's happy, she's smiling, right? No trauma, no negative experiences. Her energy is great and positive. You meet her again when she's 17. She's been through a bunch of trauma. She's got a new tattoo, a new piercing for each trauma that she's gone through. Just completely different. She would never make a good mother. Yeah, because for some reason, women just do not grow from trauma. I know what I just said is going to make a lot of people angry, but there's a reason why you notice that women who don't get the men that they wanted when they were younger, they usually never have a successful relationship after that. They either get it while they're younger or they don't get it at all. Because for some reason, women just, unlike men, but I mean, I get it. Men and women are not the same. Men and women are opposite sexes. I understand that. But a lot of you guys don't seem to understand that. And in modern society, everybody's being taught the opposite, that men and women are the same and that there's no differences, right? And it's just destructive to society. So you have these girls who will go through this trauma. They get worse and worse and worse. And they think it's okay because by the time I get my career right, by the time I'm 30 and I'm done my healing, there's going to be a man waiting for me. And then they learn the hard way, no, there isn't. Because all the men that you desire are going for the chicks that are 10 years younger than you, who are just younger versions of you. Yeah, looks have something to do with it somewhat. I mean, yeah, it's no secret that younger chicks look better than older chicks, but that's not what women don't understand is that most women look good. It's very rare that you meet a woman who just who's just not attractive. So most women look good. So looks is not the main thing we're going off of. And again, most men are not going to tell you this out loud because most men don't want to be judged by society. I don't give a fuck about what anybody tells me. That's how I'm able, and I don't give a fuck about monetization. That's how I'm able to make this video, right? And it's funny because you got chicks that are 20 years old now making TikTok videos talking about their prime age and then showing pictures when they were 15 and 16. So women already get it. Women already know. They already know, man. They'll pretend like they don't know, but they already know, man. But as a man, you cannot reproduce with a woman who already has lost 90% of her eggs. You can't reproduce with a woman who's going to have a high-risk pregnancy. If you give a fuck about your children, which I know most of y'all don't, but to the few that will see this video who actually do care about their children, you can't increase their chances of them being born with something wrong with them. If you ever want them to take this path, it is possible for them to take this path even with something wrong with them. But if you have the ability, if you have the option to get a chick who's young, who's in her prime, who won't give you a high-risk pregnancy, who has most of her eggs, if you have the ability to get an 18-year-old chick, why would you ever go for a 30-year-old chick? This is how most men think, but most men are not going to tell you this out loud. This is why the women who understand this at a young age, who are not worried about being judged by society, this is why these are the women who go on to have successful families, who go on to raise a successful household. Women who deny reality, they end up like the community I've been referencing the entire video. They end up one of those mothers trying to take care of a family. They end up either a single mother or a mother with a stepfather, and it just doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. We have a whole community that's a living example of how that doesn't work. Don't take my video down, YouTube. This is for educational purposes. I wanted to go into more detail, but honestly, my inner voice is telling me I've said what I needed to say. It's a natural attraction. You look at the animal kingdom, the men in the animal kingdom are not going for old females. You look at the animal kingdom, the men are reproducing with other animals as soon as they're old enough to go into heat, so to speak. And it's the same in human society. When women believe they can get with that older guy that they want and nobody finds out about it, even if it's just for one night, they take that chance. They pursue what they naturally desire. When a woman gets away from her friends and she now has the freedom to go for what she wants, she does it. And then she'll go right back to her friends and she'll talk bad about what she's been doing the entire time. Everybody in modern society knows what's going on. But for some fucking reason, there's this like invisible bubble that everybody has around them to where they just don't want to talk about the obvious, man. Like, it's just crazy, man. One of the beefy fucker, I'm not gonna call him my friend because we aren't friends, but I've told him a few situations, and because Beefy, I don't even remember his age. He's in his 20s now, and one time we were talking, he was saying, you know, I'm happy to know that you can still pull younger chicks when I'm your age, and it's like, yeah, it's really not that hard. But oh yeah, there is one thing I want to talk about before I end this video. There's a misconception that younger girls are easier to control. No. Think about what I just said. Younger girls, they know. Trust me, guys. It's 2025, not 1995. Girls know. Some even brag about it on the internet. Yeah, I love the power I have over older men. You better enjoy it while you still have it. Sounds like my food is here. So, yeah, let me eat that. Doesn't look like it's gonna rain again, so I might go swimming before I hunker down and make some money. Younger chicks aren't easier to control. Younger chicks know. They know they're in their prime. They know that they got the world at their footsteps. They know the options that they have. These girls are not easier to control at all. Nor should they be. High risk, high reward. You only truly get rewarded in life when you pursue what you naturally desire, irrespective of what anybody else thinks about it. Are you strong enough to go for what you desire? That's the only way you'll truly get rewarded in the end. These girls know that. They're not easier to control. Not at all. Because they know the power that they have. If anything, when women get older, when women get desperate, when they know their time is running out, those are the easy ones to control. I'm going to leave it at that. Usually I'll give examples, but no examples this time. I want to keep the video condensed, straight to the point, and not make it too long. And I got a feeling I've more than said what I've needed to say. Any disagreements, leave in the comments. And be honest. I know there's gonna be a lot of people who have issue with what I've said. I know there's gonna be chicks that have issue with what I've said. I know chicks, when they disagree, they don't like commenting because they're afraid of how I'll react. As long as you're not a troll, I won't react negatively. And if you are a troll, be creative. Don't make it obvious that you're trolling. Be creative. So, yeah. Any disagreements, leave in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I have a feeling I've more than said. I've more than said what I've needed to say. Peace.